On a forest path covered in dry leaves, a mongoose confronts a cobra. It lunges, and the cobra dodges with an explosive burst of leaves and birds. The mongoose then bites the recoiling snake. Inside a dimly lit sandy cave, a mongoose circles a coiled cobra. A sudden chaotic fight erupts, kicking up clouds of dust that obscure the battle. On a high, rocky cliff edge with birds circling overhead, a mongoose faces a cobra. The snake lunges, and the mongoose makes a daring leap off the cliff to evade it. In a field of tall, golden grass at sunset, a mongoose confronts a cobra. The snake attacks, leading to a high-speed chase as both animals dart through the dense grass. In a misty, sun-drenched forest, a mongoose faces a cobra. Suddenly, a second mongoose appears, and they team up, confusing and overwhelming the snake. On a high, rocky mountain peak, high above the clouds, a mongoose dodges a cobra's strike, causing a flurry of dirt and small rocks to fly into the air. At sunset on a dusty jungle path, a mongoose and cobra engage in a fierce battle, kicking up clouds of orange dust that glow in the fading light. In a dark, magical-looking forest with glowing white leaves, a mongoose and cobra fight in the moonlight, their movements fast and silhouetted. In a foggy, moss-covered forest, a mongoose expertly dodges a cobra's lunge, using its agility to weave around the snake's attack. On a sun-baked, rocky ledge overlooking a canyon, a mongoose circles a coiled cobra, testing its defenses. In a dense, vibrant jungle, a mongoose leaps and bites at a cobra near the roots of a large tree, showcasing incredible speed and aggression. At the edge of a misty jungle river, a mongoose in the water faces a cobra on the bank. The cobra strikes, causing a huge splash, and the mongoose dives to evade. On a forest floor covered with dry, brown leaves, a mongoose dodges and weaves around the striking cobra.
Movements quick.
On a wet, rocky ledge in front of a massive waterfall, a mongoose attacks a black cobra, dodging its strikes on the slippery surface. In a dry savanna, under a bright sun, a mongoose on its hind legs confronts a cobra as birds fly overhead. It then launches a ferocious attack. At the base of a giant mossy tree, a cobra emerges from a hollow in the roots. The mongoose dodges the snake's lunge, and the cobra's body wraps around the tree root. In a dark forest clearing at night, under a bright full moon, a mongoose and cobra engage in a deadly dance, culminating in the mongoose biting the snake's head. On a rocky cliffside, a mongoose confronts a cobra near a deep crevice. The mongoose dodges a strike and escapes into the crevice. In a sunlit bamboo forest, a mongoose leaps and twists in midair to dodge the cobra's attacks among the bamboo stalks. By a calm river in a lush forest, a green cobra on a rock faces a mongoose. The mongoose leaps into the water to attack, causing the snake to thrash violently. In a dark mangrove swamp, a mongoose navigates the tangled roots to attack a cobra, splashing through the murky water. In a wide, open savanna, a mongoose attacks a cobra as several large birds of prey circle and dive low overhead. In a narrow, rocky canyon, a mongoose confronts a cobra, which opens its mouth wide in a threatening display. In a field of tall, green grass, a mongoose chases a cobra, their bodies weaving through the blades of grass. In a flooded rice paddy at sunset, a mongoose on a muddy bank battles a cobra in the water, with farmers visible in the distant background. Among ancient, mossy temple ruins, a mongoose leaps over rocks to attack a cobra, causing a small stone structure to collapse. On vast, dry, cracked earth, a mongoose launches a furious attack, kicking up a massive cloud of dust as it grapples with the cobra. On a hilltop, under a starry night sky, with the Milky Way visible, a mongoose attacks a cobra, creating magical sparks on impact. In a volcanic landscape with glowing lava rocks, a mongoose dodges the cobra's strikes as embers and sparks fly around them. In a palm tree plantation, a mongoose attacks a cobra on the ground covered with dry palm fronds. On a rocky path in a green, hilly area, a mongoose grabs a cobra by the tail and thrashes it against the ground. Inside a dark, wet cave with a bright opening, a mongoose dodges a cobra's lunges on the slippery floor. On the misty surface of a calm lake at dawn, a mongoose in the water attacks a cobra, shattering the perfect reflection. On dry, cracked earth with a dust storm approaching, a mongoose launches itself at the cobra and they become a single spinning ball of fury. On a cliff edge, overlooking a vast red rock canyon, at sunset, a mongoose dodges a cobra's attack. In a forest, a cobra is framed perfectly between the roots of a giant tree. A mongoose attacks, leaping over the snake's head. By a riverbank lined with tall reeds, a mongoose attacks a cobra, chasing it from the grass into the water. In an autumn forest with the ground carpeted in golden leaves, a mongoose attacks a cobra, sending a flurry of colorful leaves into the air. In a magical forest at night with glowing fireflies, a mongoose attacks a bright green cobra, which emits a magical energy. In a dark, sandy desert, under a dark, stormy sky, a mongoose dodges a cobra's lightning-fast strikes. In a sunlit, rocky clearing, a mongoose and cobra have a tense standoff, sizing each other up. In a dry desert with mountains in the background, a mongoose, with its mouth open, faces a green and yellow patterned cobra. At sunset near a rocky cliff, a mongoose and cobra are silhouetted against the bright orange sun. In a dry, scrubby area, the mongoose dodges and weaves as the cobra strikes repeatedly. In a forest, a cobra is framed perfectly between the roots of a giant tree. A mongoose attacks, leaping over the snake's head. By a riverbank lined with tall reeds, a mongoose attacks a cobra, chasing it from the grass into the water. In an autumn forest with the ground carpeted in golden leaves, a mongoose attacks a cobra, sending a flurry of colorful leaves into the air. In a magical forest at night with glowing fireflies, a mongoose attacks a bright green cobra, which emits a magical energy. In a dark, sandy desert, under a dark, stormy sky, a mongoose dodges a cobra's lightning-fast strikes. In a sunlit, rocky clearing, a mongoose and cobra have a tense standoff, sizing each other up. In a dry desert with mountains in the background, a mongoose, with its mouth open, faces a green and yellow patterned cobra. At sunset near a rocky cliff, a mongoose and cobra are silhouetted against the bright orange sun. In a dry, scrubby area, the mongoose dodges and weaves as the cobra strikes repeatedly. In a forest, a cobra is framed perfectly between the roots of a giant tree. A final forest scene shows a mongoose and cobra holding a tense standoff near the base of a large tree.
Has begun. Each opponent probing the other.
The video opens in a sunlit forest with a mongoose cautiously approaching a cobra on the leaf-covered ground. In a misty, pine tree-lined clearing, two cobras face each other in a mirrored, upright, defensive posture. Two cobras, one with a bluish hood and another with an orange one, confront each other in a lush green mountain meadow. In a dense jungle with ferns and palm trees, two cobras engage in a graceful dance-like confrontation as birds fly by. Two cobras face each other on a jungle path, perfectly framed by hanging vines as bright sunlight streams down between them. In a grassy field with a bamboo grove in the background, two cobras engage in a swift, aggressive territorial dispute. In a dark jungle filled with large ferns, a mongoose attacks a black cobra, which dodges and flees the scene. At the base of a large tree in a savanna, a mongoose with its mouth open kicks up dust, aggressively confronting a cobra. On a rocky riverbank, a mongoose on a stone watches a black cobra coiled in the shallow flowing water. On a cracked, dry patch of earth in the golden light of sunset, a mongoose and cobra hold a tense standoff, their long shadows stretching out behind them. On a dusty, sun-drenched slope in a forest, a mongoose kicks up a cloud of red dirt as it aggressively feints an attack on a waiting cobra. In a sunlit, mossy jungle clearing, a mongoose cautiously approaches a cobra. In a rocky, arid landscape, a mongoose repeatedly lunges at a cobra, kicking up dust with each quick movement. At the base of a massive, moss-covered tree, a mongoose attacks a green-tinted cobra. On a dusty road at the edge of a field, a mongoose attacks a cobra, which dodges the assault. In a dramatic canyon with steep rock walls, a mongoose attacks a cobra while a large flock of birds circles high in the sky. A mongoose confronts a cobra with distinctive yellow and black markings on its hood, set against a dense bamboo forest. On a large, sun-warmed boulder, a mongoose stands on its hind legs to get a better view before attacking the cobra. On a red dirt hilltop overlooking a vast savanna, a mongoose kicks up dust as it attacks a coiled cobra. In a rocky stream in a lush jungle, a mongoose drinks from the water, then turns to face a cobra coiled on a nearby rock. In a dark, muddy jungle clearing, a mongoose with an orange-tinted tail cautiously approaches a black cobra. In a dry canyon with towering rock formations, a mongoose on its hind legs attacks a hissing cobra. In a sunlit, pine forest with ferns, a large mongoose and a black cobra hold a tense, still standoff. On a dusty, sunlit path, a mongoose attacks a cobra, which creates a cloud of dust that is illuminated by the bright backlight. At the base of a large tree with exposed roots, a mongoose circles a cobra in the warm golden light of a setting or rising sun. On a steep, mossy hillside in a forest, a mongoose confronts a cobra.
At the base of several mossy trees, a mongoose attacks a cobra in a dusty, chaotic fight. On a dusty path, a mongoose attacks a cobra, which dodges with incredible speed. Then the mongoose circles its opponent, kicking up clouds of dust. In a misty, rocky clearing at sunrise, a mongoose with glowing red eyes confronts a cobra as birds fly in the background. In a dark bamboo forest, a mongoose attacks a cobra, dodging its strikes on the leaf-littered ground. A mongoose and cobra battle in a river, splashing in the water, while a bright blue dragonfly hovers nearby. On a red, rocky cliff at sunset, a mongoose cautiously climbs down towards a waiting cobra. In a field of tall, golden grass at sunset, a mongoose and cobra face off, their bodies illuminated by the warm light. At the entrance to a dark cave, a mongoose attacks a cobra in a swirling cloud of dust. On a leaf-strewn path in a sunny forest, a mongoose attacks a defeated cobra. On a steep, wooded hillside, a mongoose dodges a lunge from a cobra. In a lush forest with large trees, a mongoose dodges a cobra's attack on the leaf-covered ground. A mongoose battles a cobra in a shallow, rocky river, splashing through the clear water. In a sunlit, grassy clearing, a mongoose launches a furious attack on a cobra, becoming a blur of motion as it kicks up dirt and grass. In a rocky, red dirt landscape, a mongoose stands on its hind legs before launching an attack on a hissing cobra. In a dense bamboo forest with sunlight filtering through, a mongoose attacks a large cobra, sending leaves and debris flying. At the base of a massive, moss-covered tree, a mongoose attacks a green-tinted cobra. In a grassy field at sunrise, a mongoose and cobra engage in a swift, dusty battle. At twilight, a mongoose with glowing yellow eyes confronts a massive cobra with glowing red eyes. In a rocky, sun-scorched landscape, a mongoose cautiously circles a coiled cobra. At dusk, on a leaf-covered path, a mongoose with glowing eyes attacks a black cobra. On a grassy hill at sunset, a mongoose circles a cobra as a large flock of birds flies in the background. At the base of a large tree, a mongoose and cobra engage in a dusty battle among the roots. On two separate wet rocks, with a large waterfall behind them, a mongoose and cobra face each other before the snake is defeated. On a dark, leaf-littered forest floor, a mongoose attacks a cobra in a blur of motion. At sunset, in a jungle clearing, a mongoose attacks a cobra, kicking up a cloud of dust illuminated by the setting sun. On a high cliff edge, a mongoose dodges a cobra's strikes as a flock of birds circles above. In a field of tall, golden grass at sunset, a mongoose and cobra are locked in a high-speed chase. In a dimly lit cave, a mongoose circles a cobra in a swirling cloud of dust. In a sunlit, mossy forest, a mongoose jumps on its hind legs and attacks a cobra. In a hot, dry, cracked earth desert, a meerkat-like mongoose kicks dust and jumps on its hind legs to challenge a cobra. On a mossy mountain top with a dramatic, cloudy sky, a mongoose confronts a green cobra. A mongoose and cobra battle in a rushing rocky river, splashing water everywhere as they grapple. A mongoose attacks a cobra in a field of tall, golden grass at sunset. In a dense bamboo forest, a mongoose leaps high in the air to attack a cobra from above.